The Chicago Bears rookies and quarterbacks reported to camp today, and in this video I'll be telling you everything you need to know. Now obviously this is just the rookies and the quarterbacks, so it's not like we're gonna get a full picture of the team. But one thing that is interesting to me is that Justin Fields and rookie wide receiver Tyler Scott get to spend time together without the other wide receivers. With DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Chase Claypool being the presumed top 3 wide receivers on the team, Tyler Scott spent the entire OTAs this offseason playing with the second unit and PJ Walker as his quarterback. So it's nice for Justin and Tyler to spend some time together and develop chemistry. One thing that Ryan Poles is known for in his short Chicago Bears career is having huge draft classes. Last year he drafted 11 people, this year he drafted 10 people. So it's becoming pretty easy to literally forget players we drafted. So here's a quick recap of guys we need to keep an eye on before the rest of the veterans join the entire team. First round pick Darnell Wright is obviously the starting right tackle for the Bears from day one. You really want to see that he is who we think he is. He's gonna have rookie mistakes, but you would like him to be an impact player from day one. Then the second pick in the draft was Javon Dexter Sr. He isn't going to be a day one starter as Justin Jones is going to be the starting 3 tech, and it's looking like Andrew Billings is going to be the starting 1 tech, but Javon can compete during camp and maybe take one of the starting spots from one of them. I think Javon is going to be explosive once he fully understands our scheme, and I think it's a good possibility that he could be a starter at the 3 tech position. Next up, we traded up for cornerback Tyrique Stevenson, and it's looking like he is going to be the number 2 cornerback on the team opposite of Jalen Johnson. So far during OTAs, he's looked good. He's had some interceptions. He even dropped some interceptions, so his placement in the backfield is looking really good. And having Tyrique allows Kyler Gordon to move into the slot where he likes, and the Bears like him the most since he's athletic. So hopefully Tyrique Stevenson can be solid from day one. Then you have defensive tackle Zach Pickens, who is also kind of in the same boat as Javon Dexter. He definitely has potential to be a starter on the Bears defensive line one day, but he's going to have to earn it, and he's really going to have to show what he's about this season. But just like Javon as well, I think Zach Pickens definitely could be a starter one day, and he could be a very impactful player on the defensive line. And even if he's not a starter, the defensive line is still going to rotate, so he'll get plenty of playing time to show the staff what he can do. Then we have running back Roschon Johnson. This is going to be really interesting because the Bears brought in running back Deontay Foreman, and we already have Khalil Herbert. So between the 3, there's really no telling who's going to be the starting running back until we get some news out of camp and eventually in preseason and we have a clear winner. Now, obviously, we're probably going to be a running back by committee team with all 3 guys getting the ball this season. Deontay Foreman had a great year last year, so I don't think we brought him in to sit on the bench. And Roschon Johnson, honestly, I think he's slept on because the fact that he was the backup for Bijan Robinson in college. I think a lot of people are really underestimating him. I think it's possible that he could come out on top as the running back 1 by the end of the season, so he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on this camp to see just how fast he can develop with the Bears. I already brought up Tyler Scott earlier, but his position is really unique because it's not too often Bears have an exciting rookie who's the wide receiver 4 on the team as it stands right now. Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool are both on contract seasons, so it's really going to be interesting to see how good Tyler Scott can be early on with the Chicago Bears and just how early he can win some playing time on the team. Another interesting battle between guys who aren't necessarily starters, but rookie Noah Sewell and Jack Sanborn are going to battle it out for the starting strong linebacker position, but that's going to be a sub package, so technically they'll be starters on the depth chart, but most of the time we'll have the nickel cornerback in with Kyler Gordon like I mentioned. But either way you chop it up, Noah Sewell is going to be battling it out with Jack Sanborn, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can really overtake the fan favorite. Jack had a pretty productive season last year, and with signings Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, the top 2 guys are pretty much on lock, so God forbid, knock on wood, injuries happen, Noah Sewell will be hopefully, competing for that strong side position and probably be on special teams. Next draft pick is Terrell Smith, cornerback. Now, like I said, we drafted Tyrique Stevenson, who was already going to be the starting cornerback. So Terrell Smith is really fighting for cornerback 4 with the likes of Jalen Jones and Kendall Vildor. Terrell Smith is pretty big, athletic, strong, and fast, so he definitely deserves to be in the NFL. He's probably going to start on special teams, but it'll be interesting to see just how much he can establish himself on this Bears roster. Then there's the feel-good story late round pick Travis Bell, who Ryan Poles spoke extremely highly of his character. He clearly loves the person, and if that meant much, he would definitely have a guaranteed roster spot. But it's not about what type of person you are, it's about how good you are at football. He'll definitely be fighting for a roster spot or potentially be a practice squad guy unless he can really turn heads and prove his worth and show that he deserves to be on the 53-man roster. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't part of last year's draft class where we had like almost one of the most rookie snaps out of the NFL, and he didn't have too much competition. But this year, I already mentioned earlier, we drafted 2 defensive tackles who are going to be competing, and we already have about 3 or 4 veterans on the team as it is. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for Travis Bell. And then the last of the draft picks is kind of the same situation, defensive back Kendall Williamson. Last year, the Bears drafted Elijah Hicks in the 7th round as a D-back, so he became a practice squad guy, and as injuries happened throughout the season, he got some playing time. Gonna be kind of the same situation with Kendall Williamson. He's gonna have to prove himself to be a practice squad guy if he wants to make the roster. Other than that, he's just going to be fighting for a roster spot because I don't think he has much of a chance to land on the depth chart as a safety. But then again, who knows? This is the NFL, and at the end of the day, everybody has to go out there and prove it. And he has every opportunity to earn a spot on the roster just like everybody else. So with that being said, that kind of ties me into the UDFAs, who are all fighting for a roster spot at the end of the day. They weren't drafted, but like I said, everybody has equal opportunity to prove their worth to make the 53-man roster. Quarterback Tyson Bagent is a UDFA who is going to be fighting against Nathan Peterman to potentially be quarterback 3 on the Bears team. Tyson is an athletic dual-threat quarterback who kind of fits the system with Justin Fields and PJ Walker. And with the new NFL rule, teams can carry a 3rd quarterback on the roster without taking up a roster spot. The only thing is they can't play unless the top 2 quarterbacks get injured in that game. He's a potential UDFA gem if he can really develop into a solid backup quarterback in the NFL for a long time. But if I had to put my money on a UDFA having another Jack Sanborn-like really, stellar rookie season as an undrafted player, my bet would be on DeAnthony Jones, edge rusher. DeAnthony Jones was pretty underrated, and looking at his tape, you probably would have assumed he was going to get drafted, much like Jack Sanborn, who last year a lot of people mocked him to be drafted. And with the Bears having, lack of depth at the edge position, he's definitely going to have every opportunity to prove himself and possibly get some playing time this season. Jalen Harris is another edge rusher that the Bears signed in undrafted free agency, who's going to have an opportunity to potentially show something this camp. My favorite offensive line UDFA this year is Gabe Hoy out of Pittsburgh. I think he definitely has an opportunity to become a backup guard on the Bears team, as the only lineman draft pick this season was Darnell Wright, so he's definitely not going to have to compete with a whole bunch of other rookies. Watching his tape, he looks like a really nasty lineman, and if it wasn't for injuries, he probably would have been drafted also. Now there's 14 UDFAs who are reporting for camp for the Bears today, but the last one I'm going to be covering is kicker Andre Smith. The Bears already have Cairo Santos, so it's not like kicker is a position of need, and teams definitely don't carry 2 of them, but it will be interesting to see if he could possibly give Cairo a run for his money, as he was a pretty good kicker in college and definitely has more youth to him. Now, like I said, only the rookies and the quarterbacks are reporting today, so we're not going to have a giant picture of the team, but camp is right around the corner. The entire team reports on Wednesday, and man, things are coming fast. Go ahead and subscribe to stay updated for all the Bears news and breakdowns, because I'm going to be covering everything as soon as camp gets started. I really feel like a special season is brewing, and I cannot be any more excited to be a Chicago Bears fan. Stay tuned for my next episode where I'll be going over everything we hear that's coming out of camp, but until then, go ahead and watch my previous breakdown videos that I did this offseason, and I'll see you guys on that one.